Oh, yeah. Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room, everybody. What's going on? I'm Mistress Carrie. I am your host, and welcome not only to my war room, but episode 169 of Cocktails in the War Room, which is absolute insanity that we have done this 169 times. Welcome to the War Room family, as they have dubbed themselves. And if you are new to the show, let us know in the comments. Let us know it's your first time, and definitely let us know where you are watching us from so that we can welcome you properly. Cocktails in the War Room, like I said, we've been doing this 169 episodes. It started March 14th of 2020. We've been riding out the pandemic together, and it started as a nightly show. We did 80 nights in a row. And then we launched the Mistress Carrie podcast, and Cocktails in the War Room became a weekly show. And every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern, we get together on my Facebook page, rebroadcast on my YouTube channel. And it's a way to get together and talk about everything that's going on. We talk about music, concerts, obviously give you updates on the podcast, and all things Mistress Carrie and whatever it is that you guys want to talk about. And there's always a lot going on, which is why you need to come hang out with us in the War Room. And every week, I always want to thank our sponsor, Latini Creative Solutions. They do amazing work when it comes to logos, graphics, social media, website, anything that you might need artwork for. If you're trying to rebrand your company, you need to get new company uniforms and all of that stuff made, and you want to have awesome logos and artwork. They were instrumental, not only in launching the War Room, but also the Mistress Carrie podcast, mistresscarrie.com, and everything in between. So thank you to Latini Creative Solutions. And you can find them online at latinicreative.com. What's up to Donna, Ryan, John is here, Elsa is here, Keith. Let's see. What's up, me? Ryan is here, William, Melissa, Jonathan. Trisha is joining us in the War Room. And if you're new to the War Room, allow me to introduce you to my co-host. Welcome, Wednesday. You can find Wednesday the Goth Pug on Instagram. That is her handle. Hey, get out of there. That's not yours. Come over here and sit down. This is Wednesday. She has been my co-host and my compatriot, as they say, and her best pal, Zero, is also joining us in the War Room. Sit down. Get down. Down. Okay, sit. High five. Good girl. Sit down. Good girl. Zero, would you like a cookie too? Come say hi to everyone. Hold on. Let me let you say hi to Zero. Say hi, Zero. Hi. That's Wednesday's best pal. They have play dates every Tuesday, and they get together. And, well, Zero's trying to teach Wednesday how to become a dog. I mean, it's kind of successful, but kind of not. And Wednesday is just shy of 1,000 followers on Instagram. So if you are not yet currently following her on Instagram, hey, are you clawing me? Back up. There you go. Down. Good girl. Good girl. Sit. You're getting very excited. Back up and sit down and show everybody can I have your paw? No, I want your paw. Good girl. Other one? No, I want that one. Oh, good girl. Back up. She's such a cookie whore. I basically have to bribe her to come in here in the War Room every Tuesday, and then she takes off for a while, and then she comes back when it's time for mail call in case anyone sent her any mail and any treats. But otherwise, yes, Zero is the dog in the shadows, Michael, exactly. Sean's saying, what's up to Wednesday? Brito is joining us in the War Room. We want to see the pug hole. No, we don't want to see the pug hole. By the way, if you're new to the War Room, you can go to the dictionary. We haven't added anything new in the dictionary in a while, but that's basically the glossary of all of the inside jokes and terms here in the War Room, and it's the first post in the Mistress Carrie blog at mistresscarrie.com. So if you're not familiar with terms like pug hole, you can check out the glossary, and they're all right there. Let's see. Michelle says, hi, boo. Good times. Tell everyone, I know, but no one will even see it, not even MC. I don't even know what that means, Michelle. His name is from The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's Sean. Zero's a she. But yes, Zero was the ghost dog on The Nightmare Before Christmas. And Zero originally was all brown, but as she's getting older, she's actually looking more and more like the real Zero all the time. So when people come to the house and they meet the dogs and they're like, wait, who is that? And I'm like, oh, this is Wednesday. And that's her best friend, Zero. And they are kind of the strangest names, like a day of the week and a number dog names. But knowing that Wednesday comes from the Addams family and Zero comes from the Nightmare Before Christmas, it's kind of obvious, don't you think? Let's see. Ryan says, I love cookies. Walter, get the dictionary, says Will. Exactly. I sent some more bag of dicks to says Jillian. So I want to let you guys know, I got something really funny in the mail call. I don't know, what was it, like a month ago? You guys sent me that giant blue gummy dick. So my husband does these packages where he'll send, hey, okay, fine. You can have your last cookie. Here, Zero. Come over here. There you go. There you go. So my husband does these like random like packages where he'll just get like a bunch of random stuff and send it to someone and won't even put his name on it, but they know it's from him, right? Wednesday, the cookies are gone, my love. They're all gone. Do you want to come and say hi to everyone? Do you want to make pug noises for everyone? Huh? Say hi to everyone. Do you want to say hi? Okay, you can get down. It's okay. Now there's no cookies anymore. She's like, do I want to stay or do I want to kind of take off? Now she's just going to knock the pillows off the couch. So you guys got me that big, giant gummy dick. For anyone that's new to the War Room, they just went, wait, what? Where did the show go? So my husband has it. He sent it to someone, a friend of his, anonymously, who obviously knew exactly who sent it to him. And so just so you guys know, it has changed hands a few times. It went from me to my husband to his friend, and then his friend is giving the giant blue gummy dick to his girlfriend for Valentine's Day. A full report is coming after Valentine's Day. But I wanted to let you guys know that when you send me some of these ridiculous things, the buck doesn't stop here. Wednesday, what do you have? Oh God, I got to turn the pug cam back on because you guys need to see. Can I have that? She's got this green Christmas squid that my sister bought her for Christmas, and all of the legs are crinkly. And my sister bought it for her for the sole purpose of wanting to see Wednesday grab it by the head and shake her head violently so all the tentacles would go flying. And when she does it, it's the funniest thing ever. Give me that. Shake it. Shake it. Give me the squid. There's nothing more strange than a crinkly Christmas squid. But this is like her thing now this week. Proud community standards violator, says Michael. Let's see. Oh, what's the cocktail tonight? Well, William, funny you should ask. So today I get a message from the one and only Fernandez. And he's like, hey, I'm doing a drive-by. So hold please. Wednesday, are you trying to climb up inside your camera? Oh, yes. It's a Fernandez sangria night, motherfuckers. Fernandez did a drive-by. Thank you, Fernandez. It's been sitting there for a few, so it's diluted a little bit because all the ice melted, but, oh, it's delicious. For anybody new to the War Room, depending on what I'm drinking, that can be determined by the glass. This is my official Fernandez skull mug. Fernandez does sangria drive-bys, and he'll just bring me a bottle of his homemade sangria, which is the greatest sangria on the planet, and he'll literally like leave it on my front step or hide it in my bushes. And it's like Christmas in July. It's like this unexpected gift from the gods, and I did not expect to be having Fernandez sangria in the War Room tonight, but I'm so glad that I am. Brianna, don't worry about being late. You're always on time. It's all good. But yes, a sangria night. Woo! Fernandez did a sangria drop. Yes. The early COVID days. Yeah. So Fernandez used to literally, like, in the beginning of COVID, just like hide it in the bushes. And then he and I would meet up somewhere, like at a Dunkin' Donuts in the parking lot, and I would bake him like cookies or something, and he would give me sangria. And we'd both have like masks on, and we'd be like 8 feet apart, be like, I love you, man, and be like, I love you, man. And then we would just take off. Today, through masks, we said hi and talked for a couple of minutes. So it was good to see him, but it was even better to drink his sangria. Let's see. The 6 stops here. Exactly, Jillian. You got to love that guy for the drink. I'm telling you, it's just that pick me up that you don't know you need, and then you have, and you're like, how did I live without this? It's like that. Hiding it in the bush. Is that code? Mark Bish wants to know. Kind of, but not really. Just so you know, I may start joining you for the USC UCLA on Tuesday night as college baseball starts in February. Hey, you know what? We've been doing this so long now. We've been through everything on Tuesday nights except football, basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever it is. Just put the TV on, watch on your phone, put your laptop on your lap or get your tablet ready. You can totally partake in all things outside world and the war room at the same time. It's totally fine. Annette says, I love how there are different mugs for different drinks. Well, yeah, you have to differentiate. I'm a person that really enjoys structure and order, and I enjoy habit. And so just when I see this mug, the only time I use it, because it was a gift from one of you guys here in the war room, when I see this mug, I think of Fernandez and his sangria. And it makes me happy. And it's delicious. Nothing wrong with sliding a little something in the bush, says Brito. You're a brilliant man, Brito, and you know it. Can you drink out of the Texas I sent you? Oh yeah, absolutely I can. I need a cocktail just for that though. Does he leave the fruit in it? Yeah, well, yeah, you can't see the fruit in there. Hold on. I don't want to spill it on the computer, but oh yeah, he leaves the fruit in. That's the best part. The fruit is like, wait, there's a chunk of green apple. The fruit's the best part. It's got all the booze in it. Time for a refill, I know. So good. I love drinking out of my Good Morning Bitches mug every morning, says Jillian. What's up, Danielle? Thanks for hanging out with us. And the sangria makes you happy. It does make me happy because I can taste the love. For Fernandez to make that sangria, put it in a bottle, drive it here, and drop it off for me, it's all about love. And yes, it makes me happy. All right, we got a lot to talk about, guys. First of all, to everybody with the Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass, hello. We all just got together this past Sunday night, and the private live streams for the Backstage Pass holders are really cool because it's not as big of a group as we have here in the War Room, and it kind of gets into a lot of other facets of my life and what's going on. And so we get together every month. And so for everybody that's here in the War Room that was joining me on Sunday night at MCHQ for the live stream, I want to say what's up to you guys. We have a lot to talk about. It's been very busy, and I am chomping at the bit to talk to you guys about the podcast because this week's guest is fucking awesome. So the first thing we have to do is recap last week's episode. Once again, we want to thank our sponsor, Digital Federal Credit Union at dcu.org. Episode 86 featured drummer Phil Varone from Saigon Kick. He's played with Skid Row. He's played with Jakey Lee. He's kind of one of those guys that just when people need a kick-ass drummer, he's the guy. He's also a video editor. He has been a reality TV show star. He has been Mr. December in Playgirl magazine, which we talked at length about in the episode. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, definitely go and listen to episode 86 featuring Phil Varone. I never, to my knowledge, had anyone on the podcast that had been in Playgirl. I've spoken to Bret Michaels before, but like Phil and I talked about on this episode, Bret Michaels didn't get naked. Phil definitely did. Phil's Mr. December. He was the centerfold, obviously. Phil also had his own line of sex toys. And one of the funniest parts of the episode for me was hearing Phil talk about the process of molding his anatomy to have his personal line of sex toys mass produced. Hilarious. This guy, I am always in awe of people that really have no fucks. I like to pride myself on thinking I have almost no fucks, but when you talk to someone that has no filter, that is unapologetically themselves, and they are just willing to just throw it out there, I love talking to people like that. And Phil Varone is one of those people. He is fucking hilarious. When he started talking about the chicken, I just was doubled over laughing at length. Hey now, says Eric. I know. Love the episode, said Shannon. I can't believe he's a swinger. He just said that in the convo. I know. That's the thing. This guy really, in a world where everything is about social media perception, about Instagram filters, about what it is that people think about you, he really just is who he is, and he just doesn't give a fuck what your opinion of that is. And it is so refreshing, and it's a little bit contagious when you talk to somebody like that, because you can feel your own walls coming down, because you start analyzing yourself and you're going, this person doesn't have any limits, really. They just are who they are. They really don't care what anyone else thinks about them, and they're doing just fine. So why am I so concerned with what people think about me? And so in that way, it's catchy and it's invigorating, and that kind of energy is the kind of thing that it changes your day. You know, after I talked to Phil, I was like wound up the rest of the day, because he's just so fun and unapologetic and just throws it out there and talks about things. Now, I will say this. I have a regret about this episode. I knew that he had been in Playgirl. However, I made the mistake, and this is my fault, that I didn't Google the images before the interview. And it was partially a conscious decision and partially not. I thought about, do I want to look at the pictures beforehand or not? I went back and forth about it, and then I just didn't. And part of the reason why I didn't want to do that was that I didn't want the entire interview to just be about his dick. Plain and simple. However, after the interview, I Googled the images because, well, how could I not? Because you did too. Don't say that you didn't, because you did. And I wish that I had asked him about his piercing. That was like the one thing, because we talked about it in the episode about having your anatomy, guys, be like your most prized possession, and yet you put it in places with reckless abandon. And I would have followed that question up with, you stabbed it with a giant needle and put a ring in it, but I hadn't seen the pictures. Now that I have, I need Phil to come back on the show, which he said at the end of the episode that he wants to do because he had such a good time. So even though I had never met him before, we hit it off really well, and he's definitely going to come on the show again because he's freaking hilarious. What? Say what? Hell no, says Travis. Well, he was a Playgirl. Like, I looked. I had to look. If you just Google Phil Varone Playgirl, Google image search, it's there. You can't escape it. Now, he did say that he was going to send me an episode of or an issue of the magazine, which I don't have yet. One of the funniest things, in my opinion, that he said in the whole thing was that he had to admit out loud that his line of sex toys had been discontinued. Which cracked me up, because he's not all about that machismo thing where he's like, I had my own line of sex toys. Like, arr. He was then like, I don't know, how do I feel about the fact that I've been discontinued? And that shit is funny. The self-effacing humor, the lack of ego. He's just incredibly endearing. And that whole I'm a swinger thing just kind of flew out of his mouth. And I didn't really follow up on it because I just knew so much about his past, that he had gone to rehab for sex addiction. Obviously, between the porno that he had done, the line of sex toys that he had, being in Playgirl, like his sex life is so public that when he said, I'm a swinger, I was just like, well, yeah, of course you are. Like, it didn't even faze me. He has a slight bruise on his chest. I gave him ibuprofen last night. Oh, okay, Michelle, I thought you were talking about, Phil Ferrone. I'm like, did you notice a slight bruise on his chest? How closely were you looking at those pictures? Let's see. I can be in Playgirl without stabbing at the center and being a metallic barb. You know what? Different strokes, literally pun intended, for different folks. So whatever works for you, man. Like, there's just so much shit in the world going on that I just don't care. If you want to do that to your own penis, you go right on ahead. If the people you're having sex with are totally fine with it, then I'm cool with it, man. Like, I don't want to go piercing certain parts of my anatomy because in my experience, they're sensitive enough. They work just fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's at least how I look at things. But you know what? If you want to do that, go right on ahead. Speaking of pierced parts, did you guys see the Janet Jackson docu-series? I watched it because I was very curious how she was going to handle the stuff with her brother and also how she was going to handle the stuff with the Super Bowl. And I thought she was incredibly gracious and didn't blame Justin Timberlake at all. Even though there's a lot of people that want to place blame on Justin Timberlake, talking about how he was kind of able to skirt any damage and fallout from the Super Bowl and Nipplegate, and how it didn't really affect his career the way that it affected Janet Jackson's, and yet she still didn't throw him under the bus, which I thought was classy. One thing on the docuseries that I thought was really interesting is that she was talking about how her career was affected by the crisis with her brother and all of that controversy. And then literally like 2 minutes later, they showed her playing an arena show and like her asking the crowd to like pray for her brother, like in the height of the child molestation scandal, and that the family is still, even though he settled for like $25 million and whatever, like, that they are still defending Michael Jackson to the end of the earth, talking about how it's just not possible. And that part of it, I was like, you don't understand why it's affecting your career? You're out there defending him in public. Of course it's going to affect your career. But I thought it was really interesting. And obviously, Janet Jackson worthy of induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2019. And I had a lot of empathy for her trying to get out from under her brother's shadow, which, I mean, talk about an impossible task when your brother is Michael Jackson and all of your brothers are the Jackson 5. So anyway, that was my segue to pierced parts. So Phil Ferrone, episode 86 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. If you haven't checked it out yet, you got to listen to the whole episode because it's freaking hilarious. Okay. Michael says, all kidding aside, it was a nice nip. It was pierced in a major way and it made me go... Let's talk about this week's episode, shall we? Because, oh my God, it's so good. Episode 87 of the Mistress Carrie podcast features Jonathan Davis from Korn. Oh my God, this episode is so fun. Now, I have talked to you guys in the past about access to artists. And sometimes I get a lot of access. Sometimes they have an extremely busy schedule and are incredibly gracious to work me into their schedule. With Jonathan Davis and Korn getting ready to release their 14th album, Requiem, coming up on Friday, as you can imagine, JD is doing a lot of press. So let me tell you the story. I had requested an interview a while back when the single came out and I knew the record was coming out. And then obviously when they announced the tour dates with Chevelle and Code Orange, I called the record company and I was like, hey, I want to interview Jonathan Davis. We go way back. You know, he's always incredibly gracious and wonderful. The last time I sat down with him in person was backstage at the Xfinity Center right before their last album, The Nothing, came out in 2018. And I brought a camera crew with me. Obviously, I was still on the air at AAF at the time. And they were like, look, Jonathan's not going to do the interview before the show. So if you want to sit down with him, he'll give you all the time in the world, but it's got to be after the show. And shows at the Xfinity Center get out at 11 o'clock. And then he's got to get off stage and he's got to do whatever. So I knew it was going to be a late night, but I was like, you know what? If that's when he's available, I'm totally fine with it. And I don't look at a request like that as being ego driven whatsoever. I think some people might look at it and be like, oh, rock star ego. Like, it's not like that at all. And we kind of get into it in this episode of the podcast because a touring musician, there is a schedule. And especially as the singer, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Any member of the band, the drummer, obviously, it's more physical. Jonathan's got to worry about his voice. The Miles Kennedy episodes, just hearing a singer talk about how taxing talking can be while you're out on tour trying to sing every night. I try to be as accommodating as I can for anyone that I always have on the show because I know how hard it can be to have any kind of normal schedule. These guys are getting pulled in 10,000 directions all the time. And the fact that they accept my request for time, I look at it and go, you know what? I'm grateful for that. Let's make it a time when we are both available. So here's what's funny. So Jonathan Davis is in California, obviously, we did the interview last week, was getting ready to go out on the road and start playing shows, which I believe they did their first show last night with Chevelle and Code Orange on the tour. And so the record company reached out to me and said, hey, Jonathan wants to talk to you, but can we do it at midnight? And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Totally fine. I got MCHQ. I can get in and out of there anytime I want. Not a big deal. 20 minutes later, they emailed me back. Oh shit, we'll have to find another time. That was midnight Pacific time. And I was like, can I get him? And they were like, yeah, but at 3:00 in the morning your time. I said, I don't care. They were like, are you serious? Because Jonathan at midnight on the West Coast is doing press in Europe at that time, which means it's, 9:00 the next morning, 10:00 the next morning. So he's doing morning radio in Europe. And so I was like, look, if I can get Jonathan Davis on the show, if you're telling me that it has to be done at 3:00 in the morning, I want to talk to him before the record comes out. And they were like, okay, if you're willing to do it at 3:00 in the morning. I said, yes, I am. Here's the Zoom link, whatever. So the first thing I did, and you can see it in the picture at the bottom of the screen, it's 3:00 in the goddamn morning. I wore zebra striped feety pajamas to the interview, and you can see them in the picture. And he thought that was freaking hilarious. And you can hear his reaction on the podcast episode. But I was like, you know what? I want to make something funny out of it because we're talking at 3:00 in the morning. And he's very well aware of how late it is. Oh, hold on. You're absolutely right. I was wondering why everybody kept saying drink, 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 typo, because it said Mandoki Soulmates at the top of the screen. Typos. If you're new to the war room, when there's a typo on the screen, you have to drink. It's like a social. So cheers. Thank you guys for pointing out the mistake. There's stuff on the top of my screen that was covering that, so I didn't really notice it at first. Okay. So I wore my pajamas. The next thing is, most of the time when I send a Zoom link meeting request for an interview, I send it to the manager or I send it to the label, and then they coordinate it with like the artist's personal assistant or the person that's there on that day to kind of keep them organized and scheduled. What normally happens is so I sign in to the recording session like 5 or 10 minutes before it's due to start. Normally a few minutes before it starts, the person's handler, assistant, record company representative, whatever, signs in and says, hey, I want to let you know this is their schedule. Do you need any information? Did you get the links we sent you? I'm going to just text him and let him know you're ready to go, just to kind of keep the artist schedule moving forward. And they sign in and they'll say, listen, he's running late on his last interview. We're just going to run a few minutes late. Is that okay? Whatever it is. So normally I'm sitting there waiting for the assistant or whoever to pop up first. So I'm sitting there at 3:00 in the morning and I'm just kind of putzing around on the internet or whatever. And all of a sudden, Jonathan Davis just pops up. And I was like, hey. And he was like, Carrie, what's going on? No handler, no assistant, keeping his own schedule. It's just like, hey, I'm here. What do you want to do? So that picture, this is a screen grab from the interview. That is kind of Jonathan Davis's house. and where he does all of his interviews and stuff. This is a picture from the interview. So me and MCHQ in my feety pajamas and Jonathan in his bright red home Zoom interview studio, home office, whatever it is. So this is not one of the longer episodes. Long story short, which is what I was trying to get to, is that he was in the middle of doing European press for the release of the record because the new album Requiem comes out on Friday. So the episode is maybe a half hour long. It's not that long, but I didn't care. I was like, you know what? I just want JD on the show, and he did not disappoint. He is always incredibly gracious. He is humble and wonderful. And again, the kind of guy that just kind of says it like it is. And he jokes around a lot about how people get upset with him about wanting to do things late at night. And he thanked me for being accommodating. And I was like, yeah, you know me, whatever, man. So he gave me some really funny answers on some things, talked a little bit about the band. Of course, I asked him about Fieldy. So there's a lot in there. Now, when I spoke to him last week, the band had not announced the live stream. Korn announced today that they're doing a live stream on their official YouTube coming up on Thursday night. It's going to start at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it is a live stream as kind of a album release party live from Los Angeles on Thursday night. That's been added to the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Then obviously the record comes out on Friday. And Korn is out with Chevelle and Code Orange. They have got a show at the Dunkin' Donuts Center on March 16th. And they have got a show at the SNHU Arena in Manchester, New Hampshire on March 19th. And both of those dates are also listed on the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. So this episode is fun. And I love Jonathan Davis. He is hilarious and just... There's one thing about this interview that you're going to notice. He's genuinely happy. He was giggling and smiling and just seems to be, even with his COVID scare, even with everything going on with Fieldy and Monkey getting COVID for the second time, the pressures of releasing an album, the pressures of going out on tour in the middle of a pandemic, everything that's happened in his personal life with the loss of his ex-wife and the mother of his children. And Jonathan Davis has been through a fucking lot in his life. And we've been there to kind of go through it all with him because he and I really started to get to know each other. I mean, AAF had been playing Korn since before I started on the air. I think they started playing Korn in like 97 and I started on the air in 98. But I really started to get to know the band a lot in like 99 because Korn was in town like every 3 months, it seemed like, because we were playing them so much and there were so many Korn fans, and that whole new metal era of rock and roll in the late 90s was just so massive that just these tours were constantly out. So Jonathan Davis and I's careers have just always kind of grown up together. And to see him be as happy and just... I don't know, I guess happy is the only way to describe it, just content with his life. And he is so gracious and grateful and very aware of how fortunate the band is to have been around so long that they're getting ready to release their 14th album, that they are still out touring arenas, selling out shows. It's good to see him that way. So I can't wait for you guys to hear this week's episode. So episode 87 of the Mistress Carrie podcast featuring the one and only Jonathan Davis, J-Devil, JD, whatever you want to call him, goes live at midnight tonight, and once again sponsored by our friends at Digital Federal Credit Union, who you can find at dcu.org. Now, if you subscribe and follow the Mistress Carrie podcast, not only are you going to get the weekly episodes every Wednesday, you get a new episode, but you're also going to get the daily sit reps. Monday through Friday, you are going to get caught up with all of your rock news, music headlines, and industry info in under 5 minutes because I break it all down for you for the sit rep. And it's there for you first thing in the morning. So no matter how early you get up, it only takes 5 minutes. You can get caught up with everything that's going on in music, what albums are coming out, what tour tickets are going on sale, what's happening on streaming services, what's happening on TV, just kind of all of that stuff. But it happens every weekday and it's 5 minutes long. So you can just listen to it and then go about your day. And also, if you want to find the podcast, this is just some of the places that you can find it, and it continues to grow all the time. So wherever it is that you listen to your favorite podcast, you can always find the Mistress Carrie podcast. Just search for it. If you find that artwork right there, you know you're in the right spot. And if you don't know shit about podcasts, just go to mistresscarrie.com. All the episodes are there with embedded players, and all you have to do is just pick the episode you want to hear and click play, and you can listen to it right off the website. So I make it super easy. And the players also get uploaded on Facebook every day as well, so you can listen to it that way. We are holding strong at 130 countries. We hit that towards the end of last year. And Canada, continuing this week to be the number 2 country in listenership for the Mistress Carrie podcast. So we want to say what's up to our neighbors from the north. All right, we got a ton of rock music and music headlines to get through. If you have not heard it yet, Beth Hart released the first single from her upcoming Led Zeppelin tribute album. She covered Black Dog. It's the first single. It is fantastic. The album comes out on February 25th, and she is going to be at the Wilbur on March 9th. February 25th is going to be a very busy day. Not only is Beth Hart releasing her Led Zeppelin covers album, Dream Theater is going to be at the Wang on February 25th. Guns N' Roses is releasing their EP, Hard School, on February 25th. And also the Foo Fighters movie, Studio 666, is in theaters on February 25th. So a lot of rock and roll happening on February 25th. Alice Cooper is coming to Foxwoods on March 18th. I also want to put a plug in because his longtime guitar player, Nita Strauss, who, by the way, is one of the world's biggest Rams fans, and she is the official LA Rams guitar player. She's part of the entertainment at the games. She takes her guitar, runs out onto the middle of the field, and just shreds as part of the on-field entertainment. Obviously, she could not be more happy that the Rams are in the Super Bowl. And while we're on the subject, congratulations to Andy Bierzak from Black Veil Brides, and also Lilith Czar, because they are massive Cincinnati Bengals fans. If you missed the Andy Bierzak episode of the podcast, he actually hosts a Bengals radio show, and he put up this amazing video when the Bengals won that game and earned their trip to the Super Bowl. And him and Lilith were just screaming and just moments of absolute pure joy. And because the Pats aren't in it, because the Bucks aren't in it to cheer for Gronk and Brady and whatever, I'm just so happy to see pure fans of their team, ride or die, win or lose, be celebrating that their teams are going to the Super Bowl. And so congratulations to Nita Strauss, and also congratulations to Andy Bierzak and Lilith Czar, because their teams are going to the Super Bowl. I bring it up because Hurricane Nita Strauss, Alice Cooper's guitar player, also scheduled a date, I believe it's March 3rd, at Wally's up at Hampton in New Hampshire. She's doing her solo tour around the Alice Cooper date. So if you want to go and see some serious shredding, you can go and see Nita as well. Don't forget, Tool is headed to the Garden in a couple weeks on the 19th. Like I said, Korn and Chevelle and Code Orange are going to be at the Dunkin' Donuts Center on March 16th, and the SNHU Arena in Manchester, New Hampshire on March 19th. Those tickets are on sale. Judas Priest is on sale with rescheduled dates at Mohegan on the 2nd of April, and the Songus in Lowell on the 4th of April. And I already talked about the Foo Fighters film, Studio 666, which, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, is pretty hilarious. It's available everywhere, and they're going to be in theaters nationwide on February 25th. Kid Rock released 3 new songs and also announced his tour with Foreigner. He's going to be at the Xfinity Center on August 24th. However, he did come out recently and say that if COVID's not more under control by the time his tour goes out on the road, and if the venues that his tour is scheduled to go to require COVID vaccines and masks, that he's going to cancel the shows. So buy your Kid Rock tickets at your own risk and expect that maybe, depending on what happens with COVID and another variant, that he could cancel. Who knows? Shinedown's new album, Planet Zero, is out in April, and the title track and first single is available now, and the lyric video is out. And you can definitely tell the music that we're starting to get. Five Finger Death Punch started teasing their new album. The Red Hot Chili Peppers released like 18 seconds of John Frusciante playing guitar on what a lot of people are expecting to be the first single from the Chili's, which, by the way, I heard is coming next week. Shh. Not for sure, but if my sources are right, which they usually are, we should have new Red Hot Chili Peppers next week. There's a lot of pandemic-inspired music, and you can definitely feel the influence of what's been going on in the world coming through Shinedown on their new album, Planet Zero. Now that we know who's in the Super Bowl, and for the second straight year, the home team made the Super Bowl. Also around Super Bowl weekend, there is a lot going on, including Green Day, Halsey, Machine Gun Kelly, and Miley Cyrus, who are playing the Crypto.com Arena the weekend before the big game. And today they also announced, to celebrate the Air Force's 75th birthday this year, there is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime flyover during the national anthem of the Super Bowl. And it's going to have basically oldest to newest warplanes. It's going to be a little bit of everything, and there's a warthog in it, which I'm so psyched about. So the Air Force is definitely going to be represented during the pregame festivities at the Super Bowl, because they're doing a massive flyby. The Knotfest Roadshow with Slipknot and Cypress Hill is rolling into the Dunkin' Donuts Center on May 21st, and also the SNHU Arena in Manchester on May 22nd. Let's see. Oh, Elton John and Lionel Richie. Yes, they make cameos in the Foo Fighters movie. There's a bunch of celebrities that are making cameos in the Foo Fighters movie, and it looks hilarious. So these are just some of the things that are going on. Super, super busy. Bruce Dickinson and his spoken word tour are going to be at the Schubert this Saturday. And he has been doing a lot of stuff. He's telling a ton of stories. He was just singing a cappella Iron Maiden at the last tour stop. So that's a do not miss thing that's happening on Saturday night. And then coming up fast, Volbeat and Ghost are on sale, and that show's coming up on the 11th at the DCU Center as well. That's the Friday night of Super Bowl weekend. The Dropkick Murphys getting geared up for St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 18th, and 19th at the House of Blues, and the 20th at Roadrunner. And I know it's not until May, but if you have never seen Royal Blood, they're at the House of Blues, and they are fantastic live. Also, Papa Roach, the Kill the Noise tour with Hollywood Undead and Bad Wolves, is rolling into Mohegan on March 24th. And the Mammoth WVH Dirty Honey Young Guns tour, which was scheduled to be at Big Night Live on January 29th, that has been rescheduled to March 26th. And then a couple weeks later, Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains is going to be at Big Night Live on April 9th. A10's kick butt, says Michael. The Warthogs are unbelievable. Let's see. Behemoth Arch Enemy, Napalm Death, and they are at the Palladium on April 30th. Yeah, there's a ton of shows. I'm constantly updating the events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Let's see. Carrie, this past Sunday, Warthogs did a flyover here in Kansas City. I'll tell you what, like, when you talk to veterans that were downrange and warthogs came up overhead, they talk about what an amazing sound that is. Gulf War veterans that were dealing with the Republican Guard and, those A-10s, those are bad news, man. I was lucky enough to be invited on a refueling mission to refuel A-10s and to really see the firepower in those aircraft, and it's just unbelievable. And the noise of that engine cannot be mistaken for anything else. They are basically my favorite aircraft in the Air Force. And when they had conversations about possibly decommissioning them, there was a huge uproar about it, not only because they're so badass, but because they're still useful. And they're just so awesome. Let's see. Yes, Mike. Aaron Lewis is at the Six String Bar and Grill at Patriot Place in May. Goes on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. Got to add that to the calendar. Dale Earnhardt Jr. got into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, says Michelle. Yeah, exactly. Say a Drowning Pool is going to be at the Webster in Hartford on March 18th. Those guys have been out on the road. I believe that show is already up on the events calendar. So Eric says Wasp's 40th anniversary is going to be at Big Night Live in November. Michael says the A10 can really ruin a bad guy's party when they show up to play. Yeah, it's kind of insane. So they're going to be part of the flyby at the Super Bowl, which I think is really cool. All right, just a reminder and a plug for the big gig, which is coming up at the DCU Center at the end of April. Mike Shue and I are hosting. It's Godsmack, 3 Days Grace, Black Veil Brides, Wage War, and Lilith Czar. Want to remind you about some Mistress Carrie deals. If you sign up for the 7-day free trial of Tomes, you can email them and ask for your Mistress Carrie deal and get that extended to a free month. And also, you can get 20% off of everything at Spartan Brews Coffee. The links, the codes, everything you need is in the blog at mistresscarrie.com. Mail call. The only thing that I got in the mail this week, and I know there's some cool stuff coming. I got an email from a couple of bands that has some surprises in the mail. So there's definitely going to be some cool stuff on the way. The only thing I got in the mail this week was tax forms. So thanks to everybody that sent me tax forms to get ready to file my taxes. I appreciate that. I want to let you guys know that there are new items coming for spring that are going into the Mistress Carrie store at mistresscarrie.com. I'm researching some stuff now, ordered some stuff today, doing some testing on some materials and some other things, and we're definitely going to have some new items in the store for spring. And when it comes to birthdays, Keith, happy unbirthday to you. And it's Rick James' bitch's birthday. So happy birthday to Rick James. I also wanted to take this time, when I look back at all of the stuff that we've gone through together here in the War Room, it's been a long time, right? We talked about it at the beginning of the show, 169 episodes. And it started back March 14th of 2020. And just a few days into the War Room, it was announced that Tom Brady was leaving the Patriots. Well, today, Tom Brady made it official, and he's retired from the NFL. And a lot of people were upset today that in the lengthy social media post, he thanked everybody, but did not thank the Patriots organization or the fans in New England by name. Robert Kraft put up a wonderful message talking about all of Tom Brady's accomplishments in a Patriots uniform and even in a Buccaneers uniform. And Tom Brady retweeted that and sent some love to Pat's Nation and obviously to the Kraft family and and to all of New England, basically. I did see some rumors that, there was a possibility that Tom Brady was going to sign a one-day contract so that he could retire as a Patriot. I think those were unsubstantiated rumors, but I have a feeling, obviously, he's going to get inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame and get his red jacket. I don't think that New England has heard the last of Tom Brady. So I understand how, some people in Pat's Nation may have felt a little slighted that Tom Brady didn't kind of name everyone here in New England when he put up that post about retiring. But that only made me think that maybe there was something in the works with New England that he was doing. But either way, he's a GOAT. So to all the good times, to the bad times, to the heartbreaks and the just unlikely victories, to the duck boat parades, to the 6 trophies that you can see at the hall at Patriot Place. It has been an amazing run the last 22 years. The NFL will never be the same, and we will never see anyone. I don't care what anybody in Kansas City says. I don't care what anyone says anywhere else with whoever gets drafted in the first round. We're never going to see another Tom Brady. We had him for 20 years. Cheers to the GOAT and happy retirement. Delicious. Fernandez Sangria. Once again, I just want to say what's up to everybody with a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass. The exclusive live streams we do every month are awesome. Now that we're in February, we got to set a date for February, but we just did the January one over the weekend. You also get to submit podcast interview questions. You get travel blog updates, early access to ticket events, exclusive concert ticket giveaways. So if you are a Backstage pass holder, you have access to Volbeat and Ghost tickets right now, Royal Blood tickets, Knotfest tickets, Korn tickets. So if you don't have a Backstage pass yet, you can go to mistresscarrie.com, click the Patreon link, and you can also go directly to patreon.com. Just search Mistress Carrie. Let's see. Unpopular opinion. I'm not sad he's retiring. It's time. Let another young gun get a shot. What's crazy is how many fucking years did we listen to the fact that Tom Brady was going to fall off a cliff? He never did. His stats this year were just as good as they were midway through his career and early in his career. He literally in 22 years had 2 Hall of Fame careers smashed into one. Like, he should get into the Hall of Fame twice. It's insane. Raise a glass. Salud, says Melissa. Happy unbirthday, Keith, says Terrence. TB12, cheers to the GOAT. I want to see you break out the 100 ounce one night. That would be an epic night, says Brito. Yeah, that I would need to be supervised and babysat that night if I'm going to drink 100 ounces of anything that has any hint of alcohol in it. But if you didn't see it in the mail call, Brito sent me this freaking massive tumbler with a straw. Like, I could keep myself hydrated in the Sahara for a week with this thing, and I could get myself in a lot of trouble if there was booze in it. So I also want to remind you guys of all of the places that you can find me on social: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Cameo videos are always available for somebody's birthday, anniversary. If you know someone is retiring from the military, somebody that's just having a bad day, recovering from illness, whatever it is, I am always up to make custom cameo videos for you. Also, my official YouTube channel is where all of the Cocktails in the War Room episodes go after they are live here on Facebook. And then, of course, you can find me at Patreon as well for the Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass. So, unbirthday, exactly. Happy unbirthday, Keith. Tom Brady got into the Hall of Fame in 2027. He's not eligible till 2027, which is kind of crazy that there's like 5 years that the Hall of Fame is going to induct people that are not Tom Brady. I will supervise, says Melissa. That would be a water night. Yeah, but Donna, I would be getting up out of the war room to pee every 5 minutes. It's 100 ounces of liquid. I don't care how big you think your kidneys and your liver are. You can't possibly have that much extra room in your abdominal cavity. It's just not possible. We would have to wait till her husband is back for that because, yeah, you'd have to watch out for her. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I would need to be supervised. I would need an adult. 100%. So basically that's what's going on, guys. I'm super excited for you guys to hear this week's episode of the podcast. Next week's episode's pretty epic too. There's some really good stuff coming up on the podcast, and I'm super excited about it. So if you haven't subscribed and followed the podcast yet, you definitely got to do that. And if you know Korn fans on social media, you got to send them this episode, because that's how the podcast is going to grow, is to get more and more people to even know it's out there. And so if you have a Korn fan in your life, make sure that they know about this week's episode. And the fact that it's episode 87 and it comes out every week, and we have not missed a week with a new episode since the podcast launched. I can't believe the podcast has been out 87 weeks. It blows my mind. I remember announcing it right here in the War Room with you guys almost 2 years ago now. It just doesn't seem possible. But that's kind of the beauty of doing a show like this, is you get to see how the world, like how time moves by. It's shocking to me that, you know, I'm almost at 100 episodes of the podcast. 13 weeks, we're going to be at episode 100. And I don't know who's going to be on episode 100 yet. So don't ask, because I don't know. Is Zero sleeping at your feet? Yeah. And snoring, which is so cute. Ryan says, thank you for having me here in the War Room and the War Room family. I had a good time to be with all of you. Let's see. I'm going to say goodnight. Good night, Ryan. Goodell is still scared of Pat's Nation, as he should be. Let's see, 2 years. Wow, it's been more than two. Well, it hasn't been more than 2 years yet. It's the anniversary of the podcast is coming up in June. So when we hit, I guess 104 episodes if it comes out every week. So I mean, it's coming, but it's just crazy to me that that it's just been that long. Mark says we lost a year somewhere out there. I know, it's crazy. But that's why it's kind of hilarious to have all the War Room episodes like up on my YouTube channel, and they're also up at mistresscarrie.com, because it really is. I know I've said it before and I apologize for being repetitive, but it really is this time capsule of this crazy time that we're living in. And I love the War Room for that. I'm just so grateful that it happened, this happy accident, to have a way for us to kind of document and commemorate all the craziness that's been happening. And I think it's really cool. All right, guys, I got to let you go. I haven't even done the sit rep for tomorrow. But episode 87 of the Mistress Carrie podcast goes live at midnight tonight, featuring the one and only Jonathan Davis from Korn. I will see you guys next Tuesday right here for episode 170 of Cocktails in the War Room. Doesn't seem possible. Good night, Fernandez. Thanks for the sangria.